Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including the brand new, cheaper and better Model 3 from Tesla, the Robotaxi unveil delayed, Optimus updates and more, so let's get into it, and a special thanks to Fantic for sponsoring this video. First up today, there have been a lot of rumors regarding what we should expect for Tesla's upcoming Robotaxi. At this point, it's not quite clear if this is going to just be an upgrade to their existing vehicles, or if it's going to be a completely new vehicle platform. From what has been leaked from Tesla, it looks like it may be an entirely new vehicle, built from the ground up for this purpose. But again, nothing has actually been officially announced. Earlier this year, Elon said there would be an unveiling of this project on August 8th, so a lot of people have been excited about an upcoming event for that date. Around the same time, he assured Tesla investors that they were working on a new affordable vehicle that was separate from the Robotaxi, but it would likely be an alteration of current vehicles that can work on the same assembly lines. Now though, it looks like that August 8th announcement is getting pushed back. According to Bloomberg, the new date will land in October. Quote, Tesla Inc. is delaying its planned Robotaxi unveiling to October from August to allow teams working on the project more time to build additional vehicle prototypes, according to people familiar with the decision. At this point, Tesla has a firm reputation for pushing back unveiling deadlines. They released the Cybertruck a full 2 years later than initially expected. While we aren't surprised that this announcement has been delayed, it's definitely interesting that it's only been pushed back a few months. Through leaks, we have seen that the Robotaxi does not appear to have a steering wheel or pedals, so it will rely on Tesla's full self-driving software entirely. While that software has made some major breakthroughs with the most recent update, it still is not truly self-driving. Drivers still have to intervene when the software fails. Unless Tesla achieves true full self-driving, we're going to have to keep waiting for the Robotaxi's actual release, separate from its unveil. In October, though, we should have some more details. Hopefully we'll at least know what it will look like beyond the render photos that we've gotten through Elon's biography and what other people have been speculating on. Overall, this doesn't come as too much of a surprise, but it's definitely disappointing. We've been looking forward to that release or that unveil coming in about a month now, but now we're going to have to wait another couple months before we see another exciting new product from Tesla. There are a lot of mixed opinions about this Robotaxi because of what it means under the surface. It can only succeed if self-driving succeeds, and many people think that that is still a decade or so away. So ultimately, this being pushed back 2 months is not a big deal at all in the grand scheme of things, but still, Elon did tell us coming August 8th, and now that is getting pushed back. Next up today, as of last week, the Model 3 had 3 trim options. There's the standard range rear-wheel drive, the long-range all-wheel drive, and performance all-wheel drive. The longest range version has been that long-range all-wheel drive version at $47,490 with 341 miles of an estimated EPA range. It also gets a 4.2 second 0 to 60. However, the Model 3 now has a few different options. All of them qualify for the federal tax credit, and you can get a long-range rear-wheel drive version, long-range all-wheel drive, or performance. Since many people do qualify for that tax credit, and it comes off at the point of sale now, $7,500 does make a big difference for this pricing. So the Model 3 has been in this somewhat peculiar situation, where the standard range version doesn't actually qualify for the federal tax credit because it uses an LFP CATL battery from China. That car costs $38,990 and does not qualify for any tax credit, but if you qualify for the $7,500 off on the long-range all-wheel drive, that comes in at $39,990, just $1,000 more than getting the standard range version with a 272-mile EPA range. So in a sense, it has made that standard range version not entirely make sense, until now. For many people, all-wheel drive is great, but not actually entirely necessary. There's still plenty of power provided by the rear-wheel drive powertrain that Tesla sells, and it provides more range since there's one less motor. So Tesla has now introduced a 4th Model 3 trim. We have rear-wheel drive, long-range rear-wheel drive, long-range all-wheel drive, and performance. That long-range rear-wheel drive is entirely new and something that Tesla has not sold for the Model 3 in years. It comes in at $42,490 and gets a 363-mile EPA range. Top speed is 125 miles per hour, and it gets a 4.9 second 0 to 60. Even though it's just rear-wheel drive, it does improve on the 5.8 second 0 to 60 that the standard range version gets. Already, that price point and that range is incredibly impressive. That is approaching a 400-mile EPA range on a Model 3, coming in at just a little over $40,000. Right there, that's already a great deal. But if you qualified for the tax credit, this Model 3 qualifies as well. In practice, that brings this car down under $35,000 for those that qualify. So for $34,990, you can now get a Model 3 with a 363-mile EPA estimated range. This is a very exciting car to see Tesla introducing, and I think it will be an incredibly popular option. Some other things to note are that if you upgrade wheels to the 19-inch Nova wheels, that's a $1,000 upgrade and it does drop your range, but it's still a 322-mile estimated EPA range with those wheels. Another change as well is that the white interior is no longer a $2,000 upgrade, it is only $1,000 to upgrade to the black and white interior. One very interesting thing is that this trim is very new and likely extremely popular from Tesla, so it is not available to lease at this point in time. You can buy it cash and they list that price. You can finance it from Tesla, but if you click on lease on their website, you only have the option for 3 trims, and none of those are the rear-wheel drive long-range version. In time, I would not be surprised if this gets added to their leasing program, but for right now, it is not an option. One thing that we've seen recently is the peculiar situation between the Model 3 and the Model Y. The Model 3 got this huge upgrade and refresh, whereas we're still waiting on that refresh to come for the Model Y, and Tesla has communicated that it is not coming this year. The Model Y has entirely qualified for the tax credits, and it seems like that was Tesla's priority because that is their best-selling car and the best-selling car in the world. But the Model 3 has been left a little bit to not qualify. At first, it was only the performance model that qualified once that got released, and then it was the long-range version, and now they've introduced this long-range all-wheel drive version for $5,000 cheaper than that one. So if we compare the long-range all-wheel drive version of the Model 3 and the Model Y, it's only a $500 difference, very negligible. However, if we compare the rear-wheel drive long-range version of those two cars, that is a $2,500 difference now. In the Model 3, you'll get a 363-mile EPA range, and in the Model Y, you'll get a 320-mile range. For those who don't qualify for a tax credit, you're never going to be getting into that sub-$35,000 price tag on a Model 3, at least not at this point in time. However, if you do, you just experienced a $4,000 price decrease on the Model 3 with a massive increase in range. Essentially, your cheapest option before was $38,990 for 272 miles of range, and now it's 91 more miles of range at 363 miles for $34,990. $4,000 cheaper for a much better car with a quicker 0 to 60 and much more range. That's the interesting thing to watch with these tax credits, because this car could have existed before and maybe would have been a certain amount of exciting, but it's very exciting to see today because it drops the base price of the Model 3 by $4,000 for a lot of customers. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Fantic. I've recommended it before, but the Fantic X8 Apex portable tire inflator is the best insurance against a tire with low air when you're on the road. For that reason, it's the winner of the 2022 Red Dot and IF Design Award. It has no problem inflating a new tire if you have to change a flat, or delivering a maximum pressure of 150 pounds per square inch, which means it inflates way faster than most devices on the market. On top of that, it only weighs 1.87 pounds and comes with 5 smart inflation modes that let you set it and forget it. It'll automatically stop when it's at full pressure. Then the V8 Mate Car Vacuum, weighing about as much as a water bottle, provides a strong suction of 30 air watts or 12 kilopascals to easily pick up stubborn sand, dust, or debris. It comes with 5 practical cleaning accessories to easily clean hard-to-reach corners, carpets, and pick up pet hair from fabric surfaces. Right now, Fantic is running a big pre-Prime Day sale. Check out the links in the description below and use my coupon codes RyanX8Apex or RyanV8Apex for 34% off the X8 tire inflator or 22% off the V8 car vacuum. As always, this is one of those situations that shows how much things are in flux at Tesla. For myself, I definitely wish I would have waited to get this version of the Model 3. I bought a standard range Model 3 earlier this year. I love that car, and it's a great vehicle, and I do like the LFP battery that can be charged to 100%, but I would still take that top range at 363 miles for just a little bit more. Also, if I qualify for the tax credit, that's a $4,000 price cut compared to what I paid. While a lot of people want to see a brand new vehicle from Tesla, how we see them doing things and moving things around is very impressive to see, and it does a lot to drive sales. I still think there's optimization to be done across the board for how they tell customers about these things and how people actually understand what the full situation is. But for many customers, the Model 3 now starts at about $35,000 and gets an incredible range, almost approaching 400 miles on the EPA scale. There's just not really another car that competes with that, especially not at the scale that Tesla is making the Model 3. While we're talking about these cars though, the Model Y now comes in Quicksilver in every trim. Previously, the long-range rear-wheel drive model, the cheapest one, did not have the Quicksilver paint option, and now you can get any Model Y in that color. It's a small change, but if you were dead set on getting that Quicksilver color, you now have a $3,000 cheaper option to get and still get that color. All-wheel drive is great for these cars and provides a lot, but I think for a lot of customers they'll find rear-wheel drive is plenty, and they like that range boost that they get as a result. What are your thoughts on this new Model 3 though? Is it something exciting or boring to you? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Next up today, Tesla has once again raised the price of the Model 3, but this time in Europe. This is the Chinese-made Model 3, which is imported to Europe from their Shanghai factory. As such, it is subject to new tariffs from the EU. The price bump will be the equivalent of about $1,622 and will affect France, Germany, Italy, Greece, Poland, Spain, and Sweden, and many other countries. In the configurator, the rear-wheel drive Model 3 has been raised up to €42,490 from €40,990. The long range has been raised to 51,490 from 49,990, and performance is up to 58,490 from 56,990. Tesla warned that these price increases would be coming, but it's still unfortunate to see, of course. The most affordable Tesla in Europe is now up to $46,000 compared to $39,000 in the US before incentives. The purpose of the tariff is to protect locally produced EVs in the EU from an influx of low-cost Chinese-made vehicles. Even though these are technically coming from an American company, they're still seen as part of that threat because they're coming from a Chinese factory. While this tariff can get as high as 37.6%, Tesla's current rate is 20.8%. They have reportedly requested a recalculation, so it's possible this rate could go down in time. That could result in the cost of the Model 3 decreasing again, but only time will tell. The European Commission will be making a decision as to whether or not they will be keeping the tariff by November. There have been talks between China and the EU to abolish the tariff entirely, but it went into effect on July 5th regardless. Whether or not it is here to stay is dependent on, quote, serious movement and progress from the Chinese side, according to German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. In the future, if no resolution is made, this may encourage Tesla to start importing vehicles from elsewhere to the European market, or maybe ramp up production at Giga Berlin for other vehicles. Next up today, Tesla has been working for a while to be far more than just a car manufacturer, and one new product of theirs could stand to completely change the world. They have been steadily releasing new footage and announcements that showed just how much their humanoid robot product, Optimus, has been progressing. In just a few short years, it has advanced from being a crude prototype into a machine that is already somewhat being put to work in Tesla's factories. While Optimus is definitely impressive already, Tesla has been working hard behind the scenes on an upcoming hardware revision that will bring it to the next level. Likely that level where we're actually seeing it doing something productive in the real world. Elon Musk posted on X that, quote, the new Optimus design, which will be complete later this year, is something special. Optimus has already gone through 3 major design revisions thus far, and each one was a big step in quality and fidelity over the previous iteration. It stands to reason that this new updated Optimus will be a similar leap forward for this project. An example of one major revision that will be coming to this new version is in its hands. While all parts of the design process offer their own challenges, building hands that are both strong, delicate, and nimble is a major hurdle. Tesla has said, for example, that the hands specifically have gone through at least 4 revisions in just the last 2 years. The current hands on Optimus are extremely impressive, offering 11 degrees of freedom so it can handle a lot of delicate tasks. During their recent Investor Day, Elon Musk promised that the next version of Optimus would have 22 degrees of freedom, making it nimble enough to play the piano. Tesla currently has plans to have up to 1,000 Optimus robots working in their facilities by sometime next year, if they live up to that prediction. We'll have to see whether the company can actually make good on that promise, but either way, this next version of Optimus will likely be much closer to a true final product. Optimus and other humanoid robots like it can stand to fundamentally change the way that we think and work in the near future. Only time will tell how long it takes, but every hardware revision brings us closer to seeing that goal come to fruition. It's exciting, but it's one of those products that still could be a ways off. Next up today, while Tesla has greatly expanded its fleet of available cars over the years, it all started with one original vehicle, the Roadster. This electric sports car was a huge moment for the auto industry that kickstarted the idea of EVs being a truly viable product. It proved that Tesla meant business, and its sales were what allowed it to start making progressively more affordable and scaled models. There are a limited number of Roadsters still out there, and while they do occasionally go up for sale, one has just recently popped up for auction that is a bit different. This specific Roadster, with VIN 1124, was originally sold back in 2012, and acquired by Tesla's then VP of Service after it was involved in an accident. After internal repairs were made, the executive had the idea to use the vehicle as a base for developing a new performance package that could be sold for all future Roadsters. This package would be called either the Roadster RR or E-Sport package, and was expected to cost around $30,000 when offered. Ultimately, changes in leadership meant that this trim would never be offered, and that this prototype is all that is left of that particular program. Now, 12 years later, this car is up for sale from its current owners, Tesla's former chief technician, Jameson Cummings, and the owner of the only remaining Roadster service center, Carl Medlock. This particular car had a ton of special work that was done on it, making it a genuinely one-of-a-kind vehicle. It has special brakes on the front and rear and a custom ABS system tuned specifically for those brakes, one of 3 cars in the world known to have this setup. It also has a special differential, one of 2 in the world, and a custom performance sport suspension, of which there's only 1 in the world. To round it off, it has custom camber plates, a unique handling package, and the only raw carbon fiber roadster body in existence. The body is clear-coated instead of painted, meaning that you can see the carbon fiber across the entire vehicle. This car has a recently replaced battery, but otherwise only has about 31,800 total miles on it. At the time of filming, this car is currently up for auction, and given its unique status, it should go for a hefty price. This is a very unique part of Tesla's history, and some Tesla fans may be extremely interested in placing a bid. The auction will end on July 15th, and I'm very curious to see what this car will sell for. Next up today, Tesla has been making progress breaking into an extremely competitive market, the Chinese EV market. Recently in Jiangsu, a province of 85 million people, Tesla was added to the new Energy Vehicle Procurement Catalog. That means that all levels of government-owned agencies in Jiangsu now have the ability to buy Teslas as business vehicles. State-owned companies make up a huge portion of the Chinese economy, so this could be a great opportunity for Tesla and their growth right now. We're already seeing customers take advantage of this new approval, with Tesla recently gaining new state-owned buyers. Since the announcement, several state-owned companies have already purchased a number of Tesla Model Ys for corporate use. One company, which develops industrial parks, is aiming to promote the equal treatment of domestic and foreign enterprises regarding new purchases. Many countries are currently working to limit sales of Chinese-made EVs abroad with tariffs, so this is an interesting time for Tesla to be making progress within China. These vehicles are being produced in China, but solely by Tesla, with no partners that are based there. It's their most efficient factory, and it now looks like it is about to deliver a lot more vehicles domestically within China. In a matter of days, we have seen several companies jump at the opportunity to buy Teslas as company vehicles, so hopefully this trend will continue for Tesla. That will help increase their popularity in the country and could potentially help demand in other sectors as well. In general, Tesla is taking a lot of different approaches to make sure that they can keep selling all of the cars that they're making while not actually introducing anything brand new. They are trying to still sell the Model 3 and Y as their primary vehicles. We've seen them introduce that rear-wheel drive long-range Model 3, which will likely be extremely popular, but that's for average customers. Bigger countrywide corporate moves like this do a lot to boost Tesla's sales at the same time, and it will be very interesting to see how this impacts their next quarter's report and this whole year's report once we get there. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see my full review of the Tesla Model Y after 2 years of ownership, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.